Hey everyone, Laurel here, Minnesota Zone 5A. Just going to do a little garden tour. Yesterday I potted up a bunch of things and I'm going to overwinter. On my last video, I think the part 2 garden tour, I kind of showed how some of my pots, or like the Rex begonias, are potted up so that I can just bring them into the house as house plants. I've had good luck with them as house plants, and I did a few more here. I got a couple of these big ones on clearance for $2 a piece. And so I put them in a plastic pot, and then I have a like ceramic pot that I can plunk that into indoors. And that makes a lot easier watering. Like here I have this whole setup where I have the ceramic pot and then this plastic pot that the plant is actually potted in. I am neglectful of houseplants, so I prefer to do that. And then like this little fern, I don't know if this is going to overwinter, but I thought I'd try it. Okay, I can't do that with one hand. Then you can just pop out the plastic, stick it in a tray or a bowl of water, let it soak up from the bottom. And then once that drains out, just plunk it back in its like decorative pot. And this also kind of holds it steady and helps retain moisture too. But yeah, I'm neglectful of houseplants, so often the soil dries out and becomes hydrophobic. I will also only have houseplants that can dry out in between waterings because it's just going to happen. I just can't keep up with it. So anyway, that's what I do. Some go in windows. I'm thinking that I might try to do a shelving system downstairs with some grow lights, just because I don't have that much space in front of the windows and I don't have any like direct sun. So some things that really do need direct sun don't do so great. Plus, if I'm going to have kittens indoors, if we end up keeping any of them, I'm going to have to keep some of that shelving clear in front of the windows too. So, but mainly I just think it'll be easier. Container garden still looks great. Pretty much the same since last week. We don't have any frost in the forecast yet. In like the 2-week forecast, we've had unseasonably warm weather, although today it is now cool. It is pretty much perfect. I mean, this is ideal. There's a breeze, so the mosquitoes aren't on me, but it's not like windy. It's, oh gosh, probably around 70 degrees, something like that. It's just absolutely beautiful. Sunny. I wish every day was like that. You can see one of the kittens in the window, maybe. That is the calico kitten. She's really warmed up to us quite a bit since being on the porch. There are 2 others. Another one is really cuddly and friendly. There we go. That's her. The gray one. The gray tabby. Super cuddly and friendly. So we like her a lot too. But little Miss Calico has warmed up quite a bit. She used to be really, really scared out here. And the third one, not so much yet. I don't know. It's going to take a while, I think, with her. But this is their mom. She is feral. She'll allow me to come near to give her food, but otherwise she doesn't really want much to do with people other than food. Although sometimes it's almost like she's hanging out back here when I'm sitting back here. I don't know. Maybe I'm just, because I'm here, there aren't other predators or something. Who knows? But yeah, we've been feeding her. She's pregnant again. I've been having a lot of trouble figuring out like trap, neuter, release programs. There aren't appointments readily available, so you have to book like a couple months out and then just hope you can trap the cat the day before. Usually I might have to take a day off of work, pay for it out of my own pocket, so I don't know. I just don't know. It would be lovely to be able to do that, but the problem is just so huge right now that there just aren't the resources to handle it in the Twin Cities, which is a bummer because I would love to, you know, stop litters of feral kittens from being born and this problem from just continuing. Of course, I'm sure she's not the only female in the colony in this neighborhood. So here's another one. This is the, I picked up 3 of the Cerveza and Lime Plectranthus, proven winners. And I just pot them up in a little bit bigger pot. I've learned when I shop for like pots like this, I think this one's from IKEA a few years ago, but Gertens has a good selection of like smaller pots. I'll go around the store and I'll find like houseplants and stuff in just sort of standard size pots. And I'll try and find a like ceramic pot that will fit one of these inside of it. These do have drain holes, some of them don't, but as long as you don't need a drain hole as long as you have this plastic pot. Because you can water that and drain that and then just plunk it back in the ceramic. So that's my tip. I've learned, try to find pot sizes that will fit like your nursery cans. But otherwise, yeah, I just up pot them. These are a little bit bigger, and then I have planters that these all fit in. Some of them don't have, this one's not a perfect fit, but you know it's close. That's a maizu that I'm overwintering. So I stick this in a bowl, let it soak up, let it drain, plunk it back in there on the shelf. That is, I've found, the most reliable way for me to do it. Otherwise, it just takes way too long to rehydrate things. It just takes too much, because that soil dries out and then it is really difficult to rehydrate. These are, okay, there's a bee, like, stop, I'm not a flower. There's so much food here, quit pestering me. These dahlias, the bees just absolutely love. I see honeybees or bumblebees sleeping on them all the time. This one is called Golden Scepter. Pretty ball dahlia, bright yellow. This one I overwintered from last year. And then, excuse me, my allergies. And then Blue Boy is over here doing well. It does have some powdery mildew, I see. A shorter, like decorative dahlia, but really rich, sort of purpley, dark purple color. And some of these I didn't expect to even, oh, I'm going to get some bloom. So I should be able to overwinter the tubers, and then I can expand this area a little bit next year and do my dahlias against this side of the garage. Now I know they do well. I just have to leave space to get to the bird feeders here. So I'll probably have to get some stepping stones and not underestimate how big the dahlias get. So, but that's kind of what I've been wanting to do along the garage for a while. And we've got these sunflowers that just seeded themselves from the bird feeders. So letting those go to seed. That's why I kind of left these panels here too over the summer. Kill off the grass makes it a lot easier to create new garden space. Oh, now the kittens are playing in the window. We've got a few. I did pick, Home Depot has 50% off perennials in my area, so I picked up a few things. And I am seeing Zone 5. This is a toad lily here. It was $5, and I got another butterfly weed for my little native area. I also picked up a Stokes aster from Proven Winners. And I did notice, if you're local, the Garden City tents are doing 50% off perennials. I just started that. And all their annuals are $2 or less. So that's where I got the few of the things that I up-potted to overwinter. Sedum looking gorgeous. Still love this dark color. And this Cleome, I am really liking it, and it's taller than I expected. I think I wouldn't like it if you could see the legs of it, because I think it gets a little bit bare. That is the Senorita Rosalita Cleome from Proven Winners. That did really great here. Along with the Rudbeckia, I am noticed some wilting, so I think it's suffering from some of that fungus. But the foliage still looks healthy, so I don't know. Some things blew over, like the 4 o'clock's kind of tipped, so I was trying to support them unsuccessfully. This poor phlox. It'll be fine. I cut it all the way back. I think it just kind of suffered here from fungal disease. We had such a wet year. But the lamb's ear just looks absolutely gorgeous. I love that texture and the color. It does take some work, though, to control it. I'll have to dig out chunks of it. Usually when I dig out things, I can just bring them to work. Give them away at work. So like it's encroaching here on the lady's mantle. Same thing with the creeping Jenny. I really need to get on top of this. If like this year it spread, this is the first year it has spread that way. And so it hasn't rooted in real like firmly yet. So usually I can just kind of pull it up. There might be a few spots where I have to dig, but I can pull it up so it doesn't choke out the perennials. But yeah, up until 2 weeks ago, I couldn't really get back there. I didn't want to scare the kittens. So, but I see some foxgloves have seeded themselves, so that's good. Nice foxglove patch. This is looking dry. We have had almost no rain in September. We got a little bit yesterday, a couple of thunderstorms blew through, so some solid, like, heavy rain, but it was brief. So it really only wetted the very top layer of soil. It got through the mulch, but it didn't soak deeply enough. So I did have to sprinkle. It's the first time all summer that I've sprinkled. This poor house is looking rough. I should pull the sprinkler over here today in this area. Dogwood is one of the toughest plants, native to lots of areas of North America, but it does like water. It'll do okay without water. It is drought tolerant, but it likes to grow along like lakes and rivers. And the turtlehead chelone still going with its little turtle head shaped blooms over here. This also stays pretty dry, although it's been very drought tolerant for me. And the honeysuckle still looking good. You can see it gets these red berries. I can never remember if this is edible to people. It is to birds, but apparently it's very unhealthy for them. It's just pure sugar. So they like it, but it's not necessarily nutritious. Although this winter, when I came out here, there was a wild turkey in the yard. It was plucking all the berries off that it could reach. It seemed to enjoy them. So, you know, good for you. Do need to water over here. I mean, even in drought, like this geum is just bulletproof. This is, I forget the variety, it has orange blooms, something tangerine or something like that. The poor fern that the kittens crushed, it's still alive. It'll come back next year. It's just looking sad. But I can water here and that'll help everything a little bit. This planter's looking a little overgrown, but oh well. I watered these 3 Bobo hydrangeas because they were looking super dry. And now the leaves, you can see the leaves have popped up and are kind of facing outwards instead of pointing way down on the stems. That's how you can kind of tell when a hydrangea is really thirsty. They have shallow roots, so, and I don't know what is going on. This is just completely defoliated, this elderberry branch. I don't know if it's just thirsty, but we've gone through a lot worse drought the last 3 years, and it's been fine, so I'm not sure what's going on there. It does have buds all over, though. So these grow so fast, though, that even if that branch dies, it'll branch out again next year. But it's kind of a bummer. I mean, this time of year, it's not as needed, but I borrow the shade from this plant from my bench over here. I should sprinkle back here as well, these hostas. Well, they're not looking too bad. Got another geum. I think that one's red dragon, but it gets a lot more shade. But I love the Solomon seal. That is also a tough one. This planter, I love this lotus vine, Amazon Sunset or Parrot, something like that. I can't remember now. Lotus vine, really pretty texture. Supertunia is looking a little bit leggy. This is Supertunia Latte and Supertunia Mini Vista Midnight. Super Bina always looks fabulous, though. It does lull, so it'll have that bumblebee there. It'll have periods where it has less blooms. It always has some blooms, so. I'll be planting a few perennials in here. I've been slowly working on this grass as I have the time and energy. Just sort of cutting out this edge. It has a ways to go, though, because I really want to cut. I need to widen kind of all my gardens, so all the way down. But from that bench, I kind of want to curve it like all the way to meet over there. So it's quite a ways to go. When I cut it out, I'll take out a chunk, knock all the dirt off. So I'm sitting on the ground doing it. And then as much of the dirt off the grass as I can. And then I dispose of the grass kind of in the far back corner of the garden. For spaces like this, or if I'm immediately planting, that's what I like to do. gotten easier though, having dried out a little bit over here. It's hard when the soil is real wet and sticky. I really enjoyed this. This is kind of a little bit of randomness over here. This area was kind of newly planted this year. It was a newly created area because of the spruce trees coming out. So I did a lot of stuff that I self-seeded. A few, sorry for the wind. There's a nice breeze there coming. Feels good though. And then later in the season when I could get a hold of some clearance plants, this Persian shield did really well. It's kind of in part shade. More sun earlier in the season, but then you can see that Dalmatian white foxglove right behind it. That was from a seed. This is the torchlight coleus that I just plunked in here. There was an open space. And I was kind of hoping it would shade, like losing the shade from the spruce trees over here in my primarily shade garden area. So I was hoping that some of these things could temporarily, I can plant stuff like this for a few years in order to provide some shade for these shade plants, because I will be planting a tree or two to replace the spruces, but obviously it's going to take some time for that to mature. Love this caramel mixed rudbeckia though. They just keep blooming and blooming, and I love the different colors and the blooms. And these really filled out. These are an annual in my zone. I won't pull them out though, because a lot of things that are maybe borderline, if we have a mild winter or we get a lot of snow, they're protected. So I like to leave stuff in here and just see what happens. I'll pull it out in the spring if it doesn't survive. This Persian shield here broke, big chunks of it broke out, you can see, from some of the storms with high winds that we had. So a little bit bare in the middle, and the petunias are a little bit leggy. Those are actually Petcoa or Super Cal, but still doing good. And this is very much the randomness. So I seeded the rudbeckia, more of the Dalmatian cream foxglove, those beautiful like burgundy spots, purple spots in the center there. Be careful I don't find one with a bee in it. This was clearance. I have two angel face blue angelonia. This is a basil that I seeded, Italian style. I let it go to flower, but I'm hoping, I had this kind seed itself where I grew it last year, so I'm thinking maybe I'll have some free basil plants. I have saved seeds from it. That's a Proven Winners kind called Pesto Besto, which I think tastes much better than the Amazel basil. Plus the Amazel basil is sterile, so you can't, A, it's hard for me to find, B, you can't save seeds from it or grow it or buy seeds from Proven Winners. But also, I just don't think it tastes all that great compared to like your classic Italian basil. It just doesn't have the strong flavor. So I'm not going to pay, I don't know, $8-9 for a plant when I can just seed my own. The cannas were extra starts that I had. This lungwort is doing amazing. That one looks so good. It has some grasshopper chunks out of it. It had some slug damage early on, but that is the Trevi Fountain lungwort, and it is massive. And there are a couple seedlings this year too, so I'm hoping next year I'll have some free seedlings. Now there's a bee. Okay, bee. Shoo. Otherwise things are doing okay. And then this is a patch. These are 3 of the Sedona Sunset coleus that I got once they went to clearance, just in this spot here. This poor, I mean, the blue drinking gourd hosta looks healthy because we got lots of rain, but it is no longer blue and it is looking scorched. So I think roughly I want to plant an evergreen, like a tall thin one, roughly where this patch of red is. And then I think early in the morning it'll kind of shade this direction, and then I don't know. I've been trying to watch the sunlight this year, see what it does, so I can figure out where to place things. And then I want to do a deciduous tree, kind of where that the red begonias are on top of that table. But one thing I did do, I cleared out more of this area mulched. I use shredded leaves as mulch too. I get those from my aunt. But I did move the bone set over here. This is a type of Joe Pye weed. I've got the Cheyenne Sky, 3 of them, panicum, grass. I don't get a ton of sun, but they're only a year old. So this is a native bee balm, Monarda, in here, blooms purple. I did move the firecracker Lismachia. I planted 2 chunks of it back here. I gave the rest away. And then this is a Tithonia that I started from seed. Gets a lot of shade, so I did not expect it to get this big, but that is a vigorous plant, and butterflies and bees love it. So, and it's real like velvety, like super silky stems. So I'm glad it grew back here because now I can grow it in the future too. And then I had a couple extra elephant ear corms that I plunked back in here, and this was a I started this from seed, the Mahogany Splendor hibiscus. So I don't know, this area was kind of random, and then I did some random sale plants just along here too. Annuals, all annuals, just for some color. My mulch doesn't match. We've got the natural wood chips that were from grinding out the stump. I like pine bark mulch in my planting beds. It doesn't fade as fast as it keeps its brown color. And then I just found this dyed brown mulch for $2 a bag, open bags at Gerton. So I bought a bunch of those. That's what I'm using in here, just to be budget friendly. So slowly taking over the grass. I think I'll put down cardboard, maybe tarps over the winter back here, and then plan on mulching last year to get rid of this grass and just have sort of a mulch walking path. And then I can dot a few tall skinny evergreens back here too. So that is my plan for this area. It'll be good to get, I'm looking at different options, a small upright deciduous tree right in this space here. And that'll give me some shade over back in my hostas once that gets big. I mean, obviously it'll be a few years, but otherwise these did pretty good. Impatiens in the ground, still looking good. Ones in the pot looking stressed and tired. I might give those a haircut and trim them back in the hopes that they flush out again before frost and look a little bit better. I do have, or I might just, I don't know. I do have a snake root that's going to go kind of in that spot, perennial, ready to go. So maybe I'll just move those and get that planted. Otherwise, I've got Pachysandra ground cover back here, and I just kind of dotted in the bare spots, clearance impatiens, once the multi-packs went on clearance. So, and I had some extra coleus that my uncle got me for free. I am very pleased with the Japanese painted ferns over here. These got, I mean, they got full sun. They got at least 6 hours of sun every day, especially in peak summer. And I expected them to just get fried, but they did all right. So they're tougher, and they got pretty big, tougher than you think. Yeah. This lilac, I'm surprised. A lot of lilacs got fungal disease. I can see it as powdery mildew, which it gets every year. But a lot of lilacs around town defoliated, and now they're blooming again. It's like a thing going around. Crabapple scab was really bad, so all the crab apples are bare and defoliated, and a lot of lilacs too. But this one held on, so I don't know. Gets a lot of shade, but it still blooms. Neighbor's tree, I think they've been working on some of the small branches, but that is a big, huge oak tree that came down in that storm. So it's going to take, that is some heavy, heavy stuff. Let's peek over here. Watered this hydrangea too. Still looking good. This is the Limelight Prime. Transplanted this year, so it'll get a lot bigger next year. We've got a choke berry here, Aronia. I'll be trimming this hard and shaping it more next year, but I just planted it last fall, so I just wanted to give it a year to establish its roots, and I didn't really care what it looked like. We've got the 3 sweet tea heucherella. That's a messy looking salvia that seeded itself. This is a tidy looking salvia. That's an annual. That is the Proven Winners Rockin' Playin' the Blues. 2 of them in there. One of them would be bigger, except I accidentally broke off the center branch when I was planting other things. And then we have these 3 beautiful coleus from Proven Winners. We've got the Sedona Sunset, Golden Dreams coleus, and Lime Time. There are 2 Lime Time and 2 Golden Dreams. And then my beautiful Troutman Blue Juniper. And I did manage to get a sprinkler back in this area and water this hydrangea as well. It's hard to get in here, obviously. You can see I should probably put one towards the front now since I have time. But that is the little lime hydrangea, and that got real weighed down. I think the hydrangeas grew a ton in the spring this year because of all the moisture, all the rain we were getting. And so their stems got super long, which made them more, even though I pruned them back very hard, it made them more prone to flopping from all of the summer rain that we had. I wouldn't mind if we got this much rain every year. I could plan for that. But again, now we're in drought. Thank goodness we got all that rain. There's still enough in the soil that things aren't dying off, which is good. Love this little atomic purple gomphrena. That I started from seed. And I like how compact it is, so I'll definitely be doing more of that. And let's see, I love the texture. This is an Amsonia. I think it's called Blue Star. Another flush coming out on the peach drift rose. Just love the color of these blooms. Love, love, love. And when they fade, probably be the last flush of blooms. But I got a whole bunch more buds yet to open. So now the Japanese beetles have laid their eggs and died off. It was a light year for Japanese beetles, though, so I'm hoping it won't be so bad next year if there weren't as many to lay eggs in my yard. I kind of neglected deadheading. Oh, this is a lemon jade sedum there, too. That was newly planted. I've been neglectful of deadheading. Echinacea here, pretty much all seed heads. I don't know if I even were to deadhead, if I would get any fresh blooms. It all depends, I guess, how warm the fall is and how long it lasts. So, but Anna's Magic Ball Arborvitae really grew quite a bit this year. This one only gets like 1.5 to 2 feet tall and wide, so it won't get a huge amount bigger than that, but it stays in that beautiful rounded habit. Kind of turns more bronze in the winter, and then this beautiful bright chartreuse green in the summer. So pleased with that one. I did buy it on sale, but it was still pretty expensive compared to what I usually pay for sale plants. So I'm glad that's doing well. Arborvitae are also very thirsty, so I'm sure it was grateful for all the rain that we got. The Dark Tower sedum is done. This is done blooming, but these burgundy seed heads still look gorgeous. And I leave those up throughout the winter. That is a Coreopsis, also done. I should get a sprinkler in too and water this hardy hibiscus because those are very thirsty plants. Luckily my soil is very heavy clay and in this area in particular, so it holds on to a lot of moisture. This phlox is pretty much done. I'd like to come back and prune it. It's still sending out some shoots, so it might get some minor blooms, but for the most part it's done. But the aster is just starting to come into its full bloom. I believe this is a woods blue aster. Gets enormous. I mean, the tag said like 18 to 20 inches, and this thing is easily 3 feet across, so just be aware of that. That's one plant. If you're buying a woods aster and it likes where it is, and I prune this all the way up to 4th of July, I prune it back, so I need to deadhead this zinnia. Here, this is the Queen Lime Red. I don't know, seed starting. I've had good luck direct sowing zinnias, but I have so many voles over here that I'm just afraid to put seeds in the ground that they'll just get all gobbled up right away and not even have a chance to germinate. But they also don't do great when I germinate them in seed trays, so I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. This is what I sprinkle with. So I change out just one of these basic, I mean, you can get it in any big box store, wherever. I usually use the fan one because it spreads out kind of nicely. And I'll just try and get it up towards, I sprinkle like small areas at once. So I'll do it in segments where I can get it kind of in the plants up against the root ball and turn it on. And usually I'll get kind of a section and I'll leave it on for 20-30 minutes. Then I'll move it to the next spot. And that way it minimizes like the amount of foliage getting all weighed down. Love this zinnia. I forget what this mix is. This was a mix, but I just love that bubblegum pink. That bee. That bloom is huge. It's been blooming for a while. Still looks fresh. Cosmos are still starting to bloom. These were all self-seeded from last year. I'm thinking probably the, what's it called? It was a mix that I had. Again, it's kind of a cool, it's funny because they say it was like a cool summer, but it was actually average. We've just been so hot for the past decade that it felt cooler than average. But these are all covered in blooms too, or buds about to bloom. Be the first ones. Normally cosmos do great back here, but I think this year was just too wet. But I am getting some buds on these rescue dahlias that rotted in the ground. This is the watermelon punch super bells, looking pretty. These were all clearance, super clearance stuff. When I ripped out the rotting dahlias, I just planted extra stuff in here. So this area actually turned out pretty good. All this pink I'm enjoying. These did well. I may plant some of these next year, get a flat of the sun patiens. Getting a few more tassels on my tiny amaranth that are supposed to be like 3 feet tall, but didn't get over like 8 inches tall. And then this hyacinth bean vine planted itself. And then I had these stakes here from when I was staking up stuff that blew over. And so now they are the, I guess, climbing pole for the purple hyacinth bean vine. So that's cool. Just going to leave it. These planters are doing great though. And these, I need to actually harvest my beans. I might get another harvest here. But all these marigolds, just doing fabulous. This was like a mix, like a big mix bag that I did at work. And then for an activity, and then just saved them, kept them here. We've got a whole entire planter of fireball. These warmer temperatures, we had a pretty warm week where it was getting up towards 90 degrees and humid this week. So they're more of this bright orange in the warm weather, and then they turn more red, dark orange or red in the cool weather. Same thing with the strawberry blonde marigolds. Like you can kind of see the difference here. This one is fireball, where it has more orange and red, and this one is more gold and peach, and then it'll get like a deep red, more of a burgundy red in cool weather. So I have 2 of them planted in there. And otherwise, it's just all clearance stuff. I do need to harvest the lettuce, last bits of lettuce that I have over here. But I also popped in a lantana that I got for a couple bucks, and nemesia, got a verbena. I love this. I just, like when I harvest my garlic or things that only last for part of the summer, and then to go pick up clearance plants and just pop them in here, it's just fantastic. And then I have these beautiful, beautiful things to look at for the rest of the summer. I would have planted more lettuce had the seeds germinated, my 3rd sowing, but they did not. So, and I just didn't have time to mess with it, I suppose. This is kind of a random area over here, the salvia, and I had gotten a bunch of clearance snapdragons a while back. These are strawberry blonde marigolds. You can see these are real gold, but now that the weather's cooling down, they'll start turning darker. This basil did amazing. This is Emerald Towers. I have 2 of them in there. Didn't get mildew, still has not bloomed. There are a couple blooms of poking through of snapdragons that I have planted behind. Tastes great, so I am a big fan of Emerald Towers. Got more. This is some Sale Angelonia and some snapdragons. This soil is very poor. I don't know if I will attempt to plant anything in here or if I'll just do flowers again next year. Everything rotted. Seeds didn't germinate. I was debating whether to plant some backup garlic in there and just see if that improves the soil at all, but I don't know. It's kind of nice not having as much to deal with harvest-wise. These are all just a bunch of mixed marigolds, along with my peppers. This few weeks of heat that we had late summer really helped the peppers out, so I'm getting some good harvest now, even though they're small plants this year. Having an issue with tobacco budworms on the geraniums. I did spray back here with some permethrin on the blooms, just because I don't want, I mean, they're like eating all the buds. They eat holes in the buds, and then you have 0 blooms on your flowers. And that's no fun. I plant flowers so I can enjoy the blooms. But there are holes all over, and I found a few budworms that I squished. But permethrin is one of the insecticides that will kill them if they ingest it, so you spray that on the buds. So hopefully that works. I don't usually normally use insecticide, but it's been a rough year for budworms. What's interesting is they are not native to this area. Actually, I don't think they're native to North America at all. But they don't survive our winters here. Their eggs and their larvae or whatever don't survive winter either. They hatch down south, and then they are carried up. They ride like wind currents and come up on the wind. They literally blow up here and then attack all of our beautiful flowers. My poor cabbage down here is also just getting eaten up, and it's not forming heads at all. So, whatever. That was just extra seedlings that I have had. I bought some, this is where I had my garlic too, so we've got some clearance. Playing the blue salvia along with this pink cashmere verbena. It's one plant, also humongous. Strawberries, I'll be picking those. Carrots are starting to look pretty big. I usually wait till we get a frost to pick those because it concentrates the sugars so they stay sweeter. Kind of the last thing I harvest. I've even had to water this planter, which is unusual, with the rosemary and bergamot and sage. Usually I don't because it's a self-watering container and we get enough rain, but this year, this month at least, it's been super dry. And then this volunteer squash is crawling all over, so I'm going to have to cut this back. It has no squash on it. It only had male blooms, so I'll probably just pull it out. I was just letting it grow just because. But we've got the limelight hydrangea back there. I did get some water in here too. That was looking pretty dry. Along with the sage leaf willow, that likes a lot of water. And then this is what the blooms look like. There's a bee on there too. Aren't they cute? Little firework blooms. These aren't even all open. On the King Aralia. I just love this plant. I'm such a big fan of it. And this is one plant. They get about 5 to 6 feet tall and wide. Maybe they stay a little bit shorter, but man, they are full. Look at this bloom. Look how full of critters that is. Wasps and bees, and I don't mind wasps as long as they're not making nests in areas that I frequent. Oh, this area looks so much better. I hadn't noticed how dry this area was until yesterday. So I put some sprinkle back here. Man, this poor raspberry splash lungwort. Usually I don't prune. I leave the foliage on lungwort throughout the winter just to protect the crown of the plant, but that one just suffered this year, so I think I'm going to prune that back because that has mildew, so I don't want those spores to overwinter on the leaves and reinfect it next year, so I'll probably prune that one back, maybe pile some leaves on top, some like shredded leaves. And then this, I'm going to get rid of this designer jeans hosta, see if somebody wants it, but it was in even more shade, got more moisture, and just got eaten by slugs and burned. I just don't think I have the right spot for it. So this year was challenging to some things. This little lime hydrangea is looking beautiful. I just love these. That like pink little accent on these sort of light lime green blooms. And raspberry splash. No. What am I talking about? That's a lungwort. Raspberry colored blooms here on these firelight hydrangeas. Watered these too. These are just doing awesome. The blooms are starting to dry, so I'll probably cut some more. This is the perfect point to cut when the blooms are starting to feel a little bit drier and more papery. Before, like this one's a little far along because it's already turning brown. This is kind of the perfect point to cut them, and then they keep some of that pink color as they dry. So I did cut a few bucketfuls because they were so droopy, but I think I'll cut some more. Put them in some vases inside. Yeah, I even found budworms. These geranium have not had an issue with them, the Americana salmon, but I found a few blooms that were all eaten up and some budworms on them. So actually I didn't spray these. I need to, because I want to keep enjoying these gorgeous blooms. I'll do geraniums back here too next year because these got nice and big this year. This is looking a little bit dry now, the drops of Jupiter oregano. A little bit past its prime. Well, it still has some blooms coming up, some purple blooms. Same thing, this echinacea, I deadheaded for a while, but it's kind of like everything just goes brown real fast, those blooms. But you know, it's mid to late September already. Can you believe it? Where's the time go every year? Summer just flies by. And then comes the F word, fall. Although I love the fall, but it's kind of bittersweet. So love this diascia. I think I showed this in my last tour too. I'm going to try more of that next year. Didn't know much about it. And then this boom chocolate geranium. These are the butterfly bronze snapdragon, I think. Or are these the Chantilly? Oh shoot, now I can't remember. I can't remember what I bought versus what I seed started. Shoot. I know for sure these are Speedy Sonnet Purple. Bought those, buy those every year. Very beautiful, kind of a medium height. I love this ajuga because this is chocolate chip. It just kind of looks good all summer. I do need to keep up on controlling it. It's kind of going into the daylilies there, but super shallow roots, so that's easy to do. Got full bloom now on my tiny little mum, what used to be a huge mum, but did not like the dry winter, so that one shrank down to tiny size. But that's okay because I have this beautiful gomphrena and geraniums planted next to it, and the ageratum looking beautiful. Love this accent here, and you can see all the seed heads now on the Haconocloa grass. I just absolutely love this texture, and it just has, as I was saying before my memory card cut me off, it has so much movement in the breeze, which is really important to have in the garden. Just that little bit of, I want things to move a little bit. And it's very like calming and soothing just to sit out here and watch on a breezy day too. Yeah, this area just came out really pretty. All these colors from the blue ageratum, the two foliage. So you've got the Persian shield and the torchlight coleus. These are open right now. The evolvulus blew my mind. Dwarf morning glory. You can see the foliage of the hardy geraniums coming up. That's what I was trying to hide because those really suffered, and a lovely little weed in there too. And then this heuchera did really good, silver gumdrop. I haven't seen it around this year. It's by Proven Winners, otherwise I'd look for it on clearance, but recommend that one. Yeah, I just love how the colors came out in here. That area was just impulse. So that's it. Just a little update, I guess. It's never really little because I just have a lot to show back here. But I hope you enjoyed. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day.